And by those children, I mean very clearly, as you know, more than 50% of those children that we're talking about are in our largest cities, and they do not graduate. 50% of the children in our largest cities in America never graduate from high school. Now, in New Jersey, in the city of Newark, we are expending $24,000 per pupil in public money for an absolutely disgraceful public education system, one that should embarrass our entire state. But because my predecessor was in the pocket of the teachers' union, yeah, he was. I watched it. And that's why they spent $3 million last fall on negative campaign ads against me, because they knew that I was going to stand for one simple thing. One simple thing. Our children deserve the very best education they can get, no matter who is giving it to them. And it should not be restricted to public school teachers with a public school union that cares more about how much they're paying for their health insurance than they care about whether our kids in our cities are graduating. That's disgraceful. Now, in New Jersey, there are some rays of hope that we can build on. Now, all of you heard Betsy mention my Commissioner of Education. Now, Brett Schungler has been a voice now for nearly 2 decades, speaking out on this issue, putting his own money where his mouth is, putting the leadership he gave to Jersey City right in the forefront of educational choice and educational opportunity, and setting an example for the rest of America. He was way before his time on this issue. And you know, Brett used to have, and I want to emphasize, used to have, the moniker in New Jersey as the most hated man by the New Jersey Education Association. Now, when I offered Brett the job as Education Commissioner, I said, wait till you see what happens, Brett. We're going to play good cop, bad cop, and guess what? You're the good cop. And if there are those of you in this room who thinks miracles can't happen, take a look. Brett Schungler is the voice of reason and the good cop in interacting with the NJEA in New Jersey. I said to him, come with me, Brett, transformation is possible for anyone. But there are so many things that Brett and I agree on, and as we spoke to each other both during the campaign and during the transition, we know that we shared a common passion for reforming our education system. Now, I will tell you that it's not only Brett Schungler who's a ray of hope. E3 in New Jersey has done extraordinary work in laying the groundwork. For this argument, I want to commend all of them, Reverend Jackson, Peter Denton, Durrell, all of them done great work. I was born in the city of Newark. I was born there in 1962, and I lived there for the first 5 years of my life. And Newark was a very different city back then, in the 5 years prior to the Newark riots in 1967. And I worked in Newark for the last 7 years before I campaigned for governor, and now serving as governor, working as a United States attorney with my main office there. And I did a lot of visitations to schools as U.S. attorney around the city of Newark to visit with kids who are being confronted by the struggles of gang violence, drug trafficking, and domestic violence, to talk to them about a different vision and a different hope for them. But what I found when I went to each and every one of these schools were children who were frustrated, and when parents were there, parents without hope. Now, for any of you who have seen the movie The Cartel, another great advertisement for the state of New Jersey, I have lived some of those particular issues. There is an outstanding charter school. There's a number of outstanding charter schools in the city of Newark, but there's one in particular called the Robert Treat Academy. And if you've ever been a witness, either on TV or on film or in person, to the lottery, that's conducted for admission to the Robert Treat Academy. The Robert Treat Academy has 4,000 children on the waiting list. 4,000 children on the waiting list. And you watch the lottery in the gymnasium at the Robert Treat Academy, and you watch the parents who have their number picked out of that barrel jump and yell and scream for joy. The joy that only a parent can feel when they have realized that their child now has a limitless future. And then you watch the children and their parents when the last ticket is picked out of the barrel and their number was not selected. And you see children crying and parents sobbing, literally sobbing. And I was first acquainted with this, not at one of the lotteries, but at an event at Robert Treat where I met one of the parents of a student there who was in the 3rd grade. And I asked the mother about her experience so far at Robert Treat Academy. And she said to me, "Mr. U.S. Attorney, I'll never be able to describe for you exactly how I felt the night that my son was admitted, but I knew that if his ticket was picked out of that barrel, that was the difference between him going to college or going to jail." From a mother in one of the wealthiest states in America, from a mother in a school district that spends $24,000 per pupil per year, from a mother who believed in her heart that the luck of pulling a ticket out of a barrel was going to be the determining factor of whether her son was going to be a college student or whether her son was going to join the ranks of the incarcerated. That is obscene. It is an obscenity in America today to have that situation be confronted by any parent. It is an even greater obscenity in the state that spends more money per pupil than any state in America on public education. That's what we're here to stop. Now, we know that charter schools are not a panacea and not every charter school is great, but they were never intended to be. Charter schools were always intended to be a laboratory to find out the best ways to develop and nurture and grow a child's intellect. And in some cases, there will be failures, and we will own up to those failures. But there are many more successes than failures, and now is the moment to expand the laboratory experiment, apply the things that we've already learned are successful across the broad spectrum of our public schools, and then open even more of these laboratories to develop even more innovation and more growth in the public education system. Now is not the time to be passive. Now is not the time for retreat. Now is the time for attack and action, and we need to do that together.